Morning. This is episode 2 of Target Ag, the extension podcast, hosted by myself and my partner, Lucas. You want to introduce yourself?
Hey guys, how's it going? Good morning. This is me and Luke here. Today we're gonna talk a little bit about soil samples and soil tests. Just a good alchemy for you guys. It's been like 2 weeks that we recorded the last one, so it's pretty fresh in our mind, right? Like,
I I don't know. I hope that we get better at these as we go. Um,
hmm
I want them to feel authentic. Um, but right now I'm judging myself way too harshly. Like, do I sound too country or or
Yeah,
whatever? So,
me too, me
but
too.
that is
Like,
that is not the
I'll,
focus of the day. So
that's not the focus of the day. That's right. That's
so
right. I
all
mean,
right.
I think you're pretty fine. I think we are pretty fine for our beginning. So
Right.
let's hawk on.
Well, yeah, so we're at episode 2. I mean, we can only get better from here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so soil samples.
Sorry,
Who,
sample
what,
today.
and why are they? And being that you are the precision ag guy, I don't know, you want to dive into that, and I'll just follow your lead, or
Let's start together. I mean, what are they and why to do it, right? Like the soil sample, it's nothing more than like you're trying to recognize your soil that you're handling, right? You're
yeah,
trying to make the soil more uniform in possible ways that you can see what you have on the soil, what the levels of the nutrients in the soil, depend how the soil is working. Well, like I like to say that this soil is, let's treat the soil like as a patient. Let's see like this. So when
okay,
we take a sample, we take like a blood sample, for example, for being more common for our audience maybe. And then what you see, what you check in a blood sample, you check all the parameters in your body, right? So
uh-huh,
when we check a soil sample, we check all the parameters in the soil itself. So I think the soil samples is very important. Why? Besides that, and but just to recognize the soil, I think it's a pretty important characteristic that we need to know. What do you think about Luke?
I think that is correct. But I guess when I'm thinking soil sample, I'm thinking more like, um, why am I doing this sample? And it's not because if I'm if I'm a homeowner or if I am a
hmm
farmer, I'm not sampling my soil because I care about its health. I care about what it's going to produce for me. Um, Now, in school, we're taught, there's 4 basic soils, and then if
hmm
you live here in Central Georgia like we do, there's really one basic soil. It's Georgia red clay with everything else that it's lacking, right?
Yes.
And if we're dealing with, say, some cattlemen that are trying to raise hay and forage, or if we're dealing with a homeowner that's like, why aren't my tomatoes the greatest tomatoes ever? Once again, we're starting with your soil health.
hmm
And we're going to take that soil sample, look at what properties your soil has, um, find out what your start point is, and then use that as a guide to improve your soil's health so that you can potentially improve the overall outcome of the forage or the backyard growing garden that you're trying to grow.
Yes.
And that's that's I guess my explanation there, if that makes sense.
No, it makes sense. Makes total sense. Actually, this is just remember me. I don't know if our all of the people in our audience are from Georgia, but like here in Georgia, in extension, at least in
Hmm.
UGA, when we do our soil samples, we put on the soil bags. I don't know if you, of course, you remember you work with this every day. So
Dude.
We
You know
put
I cheat.
that's
Yeah.
exactly this one, exactly this one. Perfect, perfect. So if you can show on the camera, the people are gonna see like you need to put the name,
I
which
probably shouldn't put that, but okay. So this actually is a client's name, so
okay.
hopefully nobody saw that.
So hide it,
Um,
hide it.
but
But anyways, you put all
on
the
the back
information.
side of the bag is the instructions. The
Yes,
back side of
yes,
the bag is the
exactly.
instructions, and on the front side of the bag, it's going to be name, address, email, what
Yes.
you're sampling, your sample plot
Mm-hmm.
ID, and even the county you're sampling in. Um,
Yes. And when you send that with all these details to the lab, when the lab do the analysis in the sample and send back to us the results, they send already with the indication, right? Like
mhm.
the indication what you should do in this soil with these results. And then we agents we try to understand better and recommend something to the farmers, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
I was um I was at a talk probably 2 weeks ago, and I
Mm-hmm.
had taken along some redacted soil sample reports with me, and I was talking primarily to homeowners. There was a couple cattlemen in the group, and there was there's probably 50 people in the room. All 50 of them were homeowners, and I think there were two
Mm-hmm.
guys that also raised cattle. And one of the guys was scrolling through, and he goes, well, down here at the bottom where it says I've got to put 300 pounds of nitrogen per acre.
Mm-hmm.
How do I do that in my front yard? And I said, that's when you call my office and say, hey, why do they run it this way? And then either I'll rerun it or I'll do the math
Mm-hmm.
for you and convert that into pounds per
Yes.
10,000 square feet, and I think I kind of did the math on the fly. And probably it's about 50 to 60 pounds
Mm-hmm.
for him. It was about 50 to 60 pounds
I got
per 10,000 square feet or per 1,000 square feet. Um, so that's something that's really, really good about
you. Mm-hmm.
UGA's system with our reports. So you'll
Yes.
send us in a sample. We'll ship it up to Athens. Athens is going
Yes.
to break that down. You're going to get potassium, phosphorus, calcium. You'll get potentially some other of your more um, oh, what's the word? Come on. Trace elements. So,
Okay.
with your trace elements, you need just a small amount of those. You don't need tons and tons of those. Zinc and magnesium sometimes fall in that category. Sometimes they're more um, they're more meaningful. Um, like for example, zinc used to be the reason that they thought that pecan had mouse ear. Then they
Hmm.
discovered that it was the uptake of nickel that was lacking. And then they started adding in some nickel, and that helped prevent mouse ear
That
in
help prevent.
pecans.
Okay.
And that trace element, you don't need tons of nickel. You need just a tiny little bit, but it can
I got it.
impact an entire grove of pecans.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
Cool.
and so that's where you're going to get the soil uptake there.
Yes.
So anyways, so you get this
Cool.
report, and then
Yes.
if that comes out, you get it, you open up your email and you're like, what am I looking at? Well, that's the point when you call your agent back and you say, what am I reading? What does this mean? And then we'll walk you through all right, it's really not as big as you think it is. I mean, unless you're dealing with thousands of acres, because if you have your garden, it's a small garden, 20 by 20, and you have no organic material, well, it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty easy to amend
Yes.
20 foot by 20 foot with, bark and,
It's
um,
not like a big field, right?
right. But if you
It's
got a
pretty.
thousand acre, if you got 1,000 acres,
Yeah, and then you're talking about
that's
other
that's the long game. It's chess
Yes.
versus checkers at that point. So
Yes.
yeah. Anyways, so
That's right.
but yeah, as far as the report is concerned, um, it's pretty well spelled out, and it'll tell you what you need, what you don't need. Um,
Yes.
But if you do want somebody to come walk you through it, contact your local agent's office and they'll have somebody get with
Yes.
you and work you through that.
And
So,
for whom don't know about this, but like in every county in Georgia, we have a extension agent there. So be aware that you have an agent
mhm.
for you in your area, and contact us, contact them, please. It's
Right,
our job.
right.
We're happy to do it, and happy to help our all the community. Right,
Yeah. If you
all the
live in
time.
counties like McDuffie, you'll get a really handsome guy. But if you live in the rest of the counties, you're gonna
Ah,
get
man.
some
9
crotchety
a.m.
old
You're
guy.
saying that. Thank you very much. You're making my day.
But um, but yeah,
Man.
every county
Man.
does have an agent that can help you.
Hmm.
Um, and every agent has a different background. So
Yes,
if you do
yes.
get an
It's very
agent, you
important.
ask them, and they're like, let me find out for you. They just might not have a strong soils background,
Yes.
um, but every single county around them, has got somebody there that either has way
Yeah.
more experience or has a soils
Yeah.
background, and it's very, very common for us to
It
reach out
is.
to
It
each other,
is. It is.
piggyback off of each other and say, hey,
Yes.
you know this better than
Then
I
me.
do.
So
What's the
can you
answer
help me?
here?
For
Yeah.
example, if I have any pitch problem, I will definitely call my friend
I get peached
Luke
to
Quick in
death.
Murakami. Because like I never dealt with peach before.
Right.
So like as I have a more horticulture and precision ag background, like I never did that. So I would definitely be in a blank spot. So I
Hmm.
would definitely call you about
Right.
that. So that's an example. That's an example. That's a
And
very
that's why
interesting
you're doing
thing.
my drone education later this year.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. Always helping each
So,
other, right? That's the point.
hmm.
That's the
Exactly.
point. That's the point.
Exactly. Um,
So yeah, let's go back to the soil samples.
okay, yes, please. Let's stay on track. Stay on
Uh,
target.
actually, I choose some questions here. Um, okay, I have a question for you.
Okay.
When and more when actually the why we did already, but we can
Okay.
say how. We can substitute the why for how. When
Okay.
and how should soil samples be collected?
So when effectively today, okay.
Yes,
So
yes.
short answer is when year round. Now, for planning and practical purposes, I tend to encourage my clients to get them done in the wintertime. One, your soil
Hmm.
is going to be softer. You're going to have, um,
That's right.
if you're doing this in a drought, in central Georgia, you're trying to shovel concrete, and that's just not fun.
Hmm.
So one, winter's easier for planning. Everything's slowed down a little bit. Get your soil sample result. Soils change slowly. So I mean, your soil
Yes.
sample that you took today isn't going to be dramatically different 3 months down the road when you're done doing all of the things preparing it
Hmm.
for your garden. So I recommend doing them in the winter, but you can do them year round. Um, I like doing them in the winter because you get your results back, address what you need to address, and then you're ready for growing season. You're the most
Yes.
prepared you can be for that following growing season.
Yes.
And then the how is uh, you as the property owner decide what your goals are.
Hmm.
I've got my 20 by 20 garden plot. I've got my 1,000 acre hayfield. I've got my Bahia field and my Bermuda field. Well, don't go sample your Bahia field and your Bermuda field and mix those together. Do your 500 acres of Bahia and get probably 15 to 30 data points. Um, the more data points you have, so um, you saw the quart size bag, okay? That quart size bag, if you have a teaspoon of dirt that you're getting from about 6 to 8 inches depth, and you can reproduce that 30 different times over 500 acres, then you're getting an overall picture of what that
Yes.
whole acreage looks like.
Yes.
Um, for your front yards, for your gardens, for your homeowners, um, take a rectangle, take a square, whatever, and get rows of three. So top row, middle row, bottom row. Very minimum, absolute minimum, those. If you do 9 spots, if you've got your standard everyday, 20 by 20 garden or whatever, that needs to be your minimum. Um, yes, you can overkill it, but I mean, if you're bringing in a gallon of soil points for your 20 by 20, you probably worked harder than you needed to, but you're going to get an even better picture of what that overall thing looks like. So
Yes.
you don't need a massive amount of dirt. You need a
No,
small amount of dirt from a
but
lot of
very.
different places all over your sample. And if you want to do your vegetable garden here, your blueberry patch here, and um, the rest of it's going to be your perfect centipede lawn. And I'm being a little facetious there. There's no such thing. I'm there's no such thing as perfect lawn. Get that out of your head. But yeah, you want three separate
That's right.
samples, right? So
Yes.
anyway, samples are not very expensive. And
They're not.
if you invest the $10 per sample
Yes.
and then do your fertilization accurately, you're going to save
Yes.
yourself a ton of money because if you're out there just dumping 10, 10, 10 by the pound on everything, you're going to end up spending more money. And this is, I'm
Yes.
dipping into your field. Don't be precise, you know? So anyway, maybe you
This
should
is
take
too
over here.
unprecisely. It's better do a soil sample to like save you time, money, headache, a lot of things
Oh
that
yeah,
you can prevent, right?
right.
That you can prevent. And like you mentioned a thing, and then just remind me another question. Like, how often should like the soil testing should be done? Like, I
Um,
would say around like every 2, 3 years. What do you think?
so pushing it out to the third year, I say you went too
Okay.
far. Uh, when you're adding limestone to your yard, you're changing the overall acidification of the plot, and that
Mm-hmm.
limestone is going to have expelled all of its buffer. Um, gosh, this is, I am not the chemist here. But ultimately, you're gonna get so much juice out of the juice is the horrible word. You're gonna get so much usefulness out of whatever you're adding to, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
going to get consumed. That's going to get buffered out. It's going to get
Mm-hmm.
used up. And it's going to be 2 years or less, depending on how
Yes.
dramatic the change is. So I would say every other year. It would have been so much easier if I'd have just said every other year and then tried not to
That's right.
explain
That's
it.
right. That's right. But like
Mm.
these remind me another thing because sometimes like some people just have this in mind like I'm gonna fertilize my soil and my soil will be just fine because I'm fertilizing and fertilizing and fertilizing.
Right.
So like I just asked like can over fertilizing like harm soil or crops? And in my opinion I would say definitely yes because you're gonna spend a lot of stuff like you're gonna waste money. You're gonna probably increase out injury in your soil.
Uh-huh.
Uh, you're gonna cause a mess in the nutrients levels probably in the soil.
Right.
And I don't know what do you think about? I would say definitely yes.
No, I think you're definitely correct on that. One thing I would like to get your opinion on is um and an explanation of opinion and explanation. Uh, when you're looking at your soil report, you're going to have your nitrogen, your phos, your potassium, and
Hmm.
then you're going to have your pH level.
Hmm.
When you look at that, in your opinion, where is the best place to start? What should you correct first? And once that's corrected, the other things begin to start coming into line. What are your thoughts there?
You mean like the range of the pH
Well,
level?
so yeah, say your pH is really, really low and you've
Okay.
got way more calcium than is needed. What would you address first?
Mm, it's too low, probably I would say lime.
Okay,
I
so you're
wanna.
saying address the pH first and not worry about the
Yes,
calcium? Okay,
yes.
so why would you do that?
I think I'll do that like to kind of organize the soil biota
Right,
and trying to make more nutrients available and trying to lower the toxicity of the soil maybe. What do you think about?
right. So it's my understanding, and if you've got a different knowledge of how plant systems work, say so. But that pH is the driver. So it
Mm-hmm.
unlocks the available nutrients, and the root system recognizes the acidity around itself,
Mm-hmm.
and then it kind of unlocks its ability to uptake what it needs. So
Yes.
if you're in the right pH zone, the root can decide, I only need this much calcium. I don't need to
Mm-hmm.
take, or I'm not forced to take in more. So
Because like
you don't
the
necessarily need to
plant's
try
not
to
like
eliminate calcium,
yes.
get your pH right, and then your plants will take whatever calcium they need, and you'll just have plenty of calcium for years to come. I guess is how I would work through that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Definitely. Definitely.
okay.
Yeah, definitely. Do good.
Well,
Good. Good explanation.
okay, cool.
Th-
Cool, cool, cool.
Thanks for
Good. So
that.
that makes
I'm
sense.
always learning more with you.
I don't know. I don't,
Man, you have a really good experience, and I really appreciate that I have like a friendship with you because I learn a lot with
right.
you.
Well, I appreciate that. I often, I guess, second guess myself more than I should. But, but
That's right.
anything.
Yeah. So,
So.
do you have any questions, Luke? What do you think
No,
about?
I mean, I think that pretty well covers this on this topic. Um, always do your soil samples, collect them
Yes.
every other year at least. Um, follow their recommendations, especially when you send them in, know what your goals are. Give us your
Yes.
goals because that way we can send crop codes. You know, if you want to grow great
Yes.
azaleas, we'll send it with a crop code
Mm-hmm.
of azaleas. You know, if you want to have great whatever, we'll send that crop code or the closest crop code we have to it. We don't have a crop code for every single thing in the world. But if you want to grow orchids, we don't have an orchid code, but we know that that's a high acid soil
Mm-hmm.
that it's going to need. So we'll send the highest acid soil crop code we can go with it and pair it as close as we can. If we can't figure
Yes.
that out, we're going to call the lab and have them walk us through it. Um, and then when you get those results back, if they make sense to you, follow them. If they don't make sense to you, have us
Cause
out. We're here to help you.
yes,
Um,
definitely.
and I think that pretty well covers it. Oh, remember, less is
That's right.
more, and more is more. Also, the more data points,
Yes,
small amounts of soil. We don't need buckets. We
that's a good
need
one.
a bag of really, really small samples. The more, the
And
better.
very
Yeah.
randomized one, very mix it up one.
Yes.
So
As randomized and as mixed
just
up
keep
as you
this in
can
mind.
get,
Yes.
and you'll get a really good picture of your soil. Those are some good basic soil health. If you don't have a compost and you've got a small garden, start a compost. You can't go wrong with that. Um, maybe that's a little bit of a different topic there. We should maybe consider addressing that one in the future.
Maybe that's
Um,
a good one.
there you go. So, but anyway, I think that's all I've got. What are your final remarks, sir?
Yeah, I'm feeling great with these questions. I'm feeling great
All
with
right.
the subjects that we talk. I think it was very informative for those that don't know so much about our job and what we do. So it's
Right.
always coming up with some subjects like this. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good, brother.
Good news. All right. So I'm Luke, Monroe County Ag and Natural Resources. You are.
I am Lucas Sayers from McDuffie County. Thank you guys one
All
more
right.
time.
We
Episode
appreciate it.
2. See you guys in episode 3, right? Bye
Yeah.
bye.
All right. Yeah. Tune in next time. Y'all be safe.
Yeah, bye.